It's like a ghost town. Everyone that comes up from downstate, it's like, you go through Bel Air, you gotta wait to get through the town. Here, there's nothing to stop.
Well, I'll tell you right now, the chamber doesn't have the money to pay for the insurance. We are all volunteers. We put money out into advertising, getting people and getting tours to come here. That is our role. So we don't have the money to
So
put
are
out.
you-
We're not here to ask. We're not here to ask or to beg for money or for someone to step up like Chris Corbett or someone and say, oh, well, I'll pay your insurance. It's the point of it. It's the point of it. How do you think that the Lioness are they gonna be able to pay this? Are the Congregational Church or the Methodist Church or anybody else that has different events?
I would bet if I ask every church here, they all have liability insurance.
Like the Lions auction brings in a lot of people up and down Cameron Street that second Saturday in August. I mean, they're walking over Second Armor Express's property or parking, you know, here and there. And the whole point of it all is to make more money, to do more events, to bring more people in. So,
Absolutely.
you know, it's not to make a profit.
Susie, would you be suggesting, and just asking, are you suggesting that we do nothing and don't require the insurance and hope nobody ever got hurt? Is that what you're asking us to do?
No, what I'm asking is why is it every time we get ready to gear up and start, we get a letter or we get notified and we have to bust our butts to try to figure out how to solve the problem?
Because we received a phone call from the organizer of the outdoor event asking us to ask these questions of the insurance company, and that's when this all came to light. So that's the answer to that. That's why that happened at that time. That's when we realized with our insurance company, we had to do something to deal with our insurance. I asked the insurance company we have now, can we even buy insurance to cover the chain? The answer was, we cannot buy it from them. We can buy insurance from them to cover the village liability and events the village holds. Not chamber events, not Lions events, that was the answer from our insurance company. That's, I'm just relaying the information. Relaying the information to the attorneys, his advice is you need to make sure these people are insured, or when lawsuits happen, it's a disaster.
Now, as I read this, special event shall mean an organized outdoor event of 200 people or more held on the property on, owned, or under jurisdiction of the village, including but not limited to Thurston Park, Rondown, and public streets within the village. As I look at Susie's packet here, it looks like there's gonna be very few that are actually gonna be in the park. I count, because July 4th is all gonna be on one day.
We're not having anything July 4th down there.
You are having a bazaar on July 4th. You're gonna be down at the park for the bazaar
On July 4th?
on July 4th.
Are you having a parade?
Yeah, we're having a parade.
So that's
But we
one.
might have to cancel it.
That's coming.
It doesn't look,
That brings in a lot of people.
as I look at it, honest and truly, you're not utilizing the park.
No, but it's public streets.
Public streets though, okay. Public streets of 200 people or more. All right, so streets too.
Will you be requiring that at the school when they have a homecoming parade?
Yeah.
Halloween.
Halloween.
Halloween is sponsored by the village, the homecoming parade is sponsored by the
The
school.
parade.
So does the school have to pay the
Is there
insurance?
special
School has
school
liability.
insurance?
Oh, they already have it.
The
What
village
is
has
the-
liability insurance.
Susie, what is the 800 you were saying? How many days does that cover?
That is, that's a quote for the year.
Okay.
That's
Oh,
a
you
quote
want a
for the
per
year.
event?
No, I was asking if we only had one event.
Then how much would it
How
be?
much would it be? And that's just.
So they don't divide that 800 by, or do they have a, that's what she's asking. Do they have an amount for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days?
I don't know how we cannot make sure insurance is in place. If you're asking, will the village look into if we can help the chamber pay the insurance? I will absolutely look into that, but what I'm saying is, I don't think we can move forward without making sure we have insurance in place.
Okay, so my question is, we have to have a 60-day notice. And so we got the car show coming up, so what would your suggestion be?
That we will waive the 60-day notice. I mean, you're making issues here that don't exist. Of course, if we pass this now and you have an event plan in 45 days as a council, we're gonna say, okay. You know what I mean?
We're not trying to discourage you.
No, I mean, you're turning this into something it's not. We're not trying to say, we put 60 days in there so you can't have your events. At some point, we have to pass an
So
ordinance.
whose insurance is gonna cover the car show?
Whose?
Yeah,
Well, right now, it has to be the chamber's, because it's a chamber-sponsored event.
that's.
But if they don't, then it's not insured?
It isn't right now. They don't have insurance. The chamber does not have liability insurance. Every other chamber I called has liability insurance. They have, they just said they buy a blanket policy for the whole year, and they have no, they have it. That's just what I was told from other chambers. They said absolutely have that, always have that. Most of them said that the chamber should definitely have liability. Now, if you're asking if the village council can see if we can pay for that insurance, I'd have to run it by the attorney first, because there are certain things we can't do with village money. We can't support Little League softball. There's certain things we can't do because they say that's not a public use. I would hope they would say chamber is public use good for the village. But if that's your question, will we ask that and find out? We can't buy that through our insurance company. Maybe the village can look to find $800 so the chamber can. That's the question, have to go through the attorney, we'd have to look for it, they'd have to go through the attorney, is that something we as a village can expend money on? I think we don't wanna stop events, we're trying to get things in place to make sure everybody's properly insured.
And we're trying to keep the events in the village.
And I appreciate
We
it.
all are, but we have to make sure. Do you want the same scenario they had in Charlotte, the fireworks explosion? Because that was a not properly insured event. They sued on that for, what, 15 years? Destroyed businesses, ran them out of business.
What if it's?
Because there was not an insurance company that had that event properly insured. That's what we're trying to invent.
I think,
Yeah.
But you
I
can't
really
just
need
say
a
you're
copy of
responsible
whatever you
because
guys have there.
It doesn't just.
Because
it has
this
to be
is kind
That,
of.
Susie, you can just forget everything you have on stage, forget it. But I'll gladly give you a copy of this I'm glad, just forget about what you have. That's why we're changing things, we're moving forward with what's been recommended we do. If you're asking, will we look to see if we can help the chamber pay the insurance? My answer is, of course we will as a village, we want to help every event, every organization in the village. We have to make sure, one, we can expend money on that, and see where we can purchase that insurance, or if we can just give you the money. I was told we cannot, from the insurance company we have right now, to the Michigan Municipal League, which is what, I can't remember the name of our insurance company right now, we cannot purchase that insurance through them. We can only purchase insurance that covers us as a municipality, that's all they sell.
Bill, I have a question. When you give the rides on window nights, you guys have insurance, right?
Yes.
So it's all we're not, we don't need to settle, we're not trying to discourage anyone. Not at all, we appreciate the change, we're trying to make sure, our responsibility is to make sure the village is covered and protected. That's our responsibility as village council.
When they do the fireworks, the township requires that they have a $5 million policy.
Yep, and I have all the
And it
information.
has to include the township fire department.
Yep, and I'm meeting with Stan on Tuesday.
So that's exactly the same thing he's talking about here. We've never done it in the village, and it's our fault for not doing it.
Yeah.
It should have been going on right along. It should have always been. There should have been uninsured events. Somebody gets sick on the chicken at the barbecue, who's gonna pay the bill?
Right.
Several people get sick on it.
Right.
Who's gonna stand the lawsuits? It's on village property, I don't care whose event it is,
Going after everybody.
you know, and
So it's
certainly.
just village property is what you're saying? Thurston Park, the softball,
Yes, exactly.
Property owned or under jurisdiction of the village.
streets?
Street, yes. But, you know, it's hard to argue that you don't need insurance, because you surely do.
Oh, no, that's
And
not.
like Ken said, if we can find a way to help with that, then we'll bring it to the board and see. I don't think it'll be a problem if we can do it. Some things we can't do.
Okay, I guess, and Rob, you personally apologize, and I appreciate that for me getting all this stuff in the mail. Or person who gets our mail got it, and there was misinformation, and we should have had a follow-up on whatever you guys have there, so it could have been clarified.
This is the first time the council's had this in front of them. We just got it back from the attorney. in the last council meeting and this one.
Oh, so you're gonna vote on it tonight then?
Yeah.
You've all reviewed it?
They all, it's been in their policy, it's been in their package.
If you don't approve it,
It
there's no
doesn't
use
send back,
sending it
and
to
then
you either.
we send it back.
So, if it gets approved now, then you're gonna get it. If it doesn't get approved, then there's no point to send it to you.
It just covers everybody, basically, there's no room, if you're a taxpayer, you know.
I didn't hear
It said
you.
it basically covers everybody in this room, or in this, everywhere. The village of Central Lake got sued, or the chamber got sued, because of no insurance. You come over to my house and trip and fell and hit your head on my concrete, if I don't have liability on you. It's the same-
I
it's the same
understand that, but I'm anxious to hear the reports when you report it to the other organizations.
Yeah, I guess I don't know what choice we have other than to do it.
Okay,
No, I don't know how at this point we can move forward saying, okay, now we know we're not properly insured, but
so you're not gonna close up the Masani flower shop because
We don't have 200 people.
You don't have 200.
we're not gonna close out anybody. I didn't invent these insurance companies and rules and lawsuits. We as a village now have responsibility to make sure we deal with it. That's
Well,
what we're
I'd
trying
like
to
to get a
do.
copy of that. If
You know,
someone would mail it to
And it
the
does say,
chamber.
Susie, an outdoor event of 200 or more people. So when you say the Methodist Church, Congregational Church, or whatever, most of that stuff's indoor, like the Swiss steak dinners.
And it's on their property.
It's on
It's
private
on
property.
private property.
The
Okay,
strawberry
so-
shortcake.
Oh, the strawberry shortcake thing,
Wow.
yeah.
4th of
that's
July, is
another
that
one.
what
It's all, you know, private property.
200 people?
No, it's on the
Oh,
street.
yeah.
You bet. You never been? See what you
It's too early in the morning.
They will. Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Okay, you guys can carry on. I just wanted to speak my piece.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you. I hope you're more at peace. So is there any, the first time we got this, it was sent back to Brian because it was on all property in the village, and no one in the council wanted to limit and control what everybody did on their property. You know, that was his advice, you do it anyways, well, that's not what we're looking for.
All right, I'd like to make a motion,
Okay?
get started, to accept this agreement with the correction of 30 days and not 30 weeks
Ordinance.
of the special agreement.
The agreement.
Yeah. Wait, I thought you said we had to do this first.
So it's actually behind it.
Oh, okay. All right,
You want to correct the ordinance?
yes, we'll change it, I'll make a motion for the ordinance to be accepted.
Okay.
Is that?
Yes, motion by Clark, second by Chapman. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Now, can I make one on the agreement?
Yes.
Good, with the
Change it.
exception of a change of 30 weeks to 30 days,
Under number 6.
under insurance, yeah.
First
Okay.
page, number 6, insurance.
Okay, motion by Clark, second by Chapman. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Some of them get anything done, yeah.
That's all, we won't go through all of them again, this is the rules and rental agreement that we put together.
Yeah, that was pretty
We're looking at hand in hand, we'll probably pass the resolution first.
Yeah, it's fine.
The rental agreement should be included in the resolution if you want.
Yes.
I just pass the resolution.
Is everybody up to date?
Oh, this is just in the.
That states in this agreement that we have to do that.
Okay.
But this rule and rental agreement is attached to your resolution. our parking lady look this over so good?
I just got it.
Oh,
I got it last night. Really got a chance to go home and show you. Lyle, did you get a chance to see this?
No,
I think it'd be a good idea if you read it.
I've read it.
You're in charge now.
Any questions on that?
Any questions on what?
Rules and rentals.
further part now. So this is only the premise. You know, premise and premise, run out.
That insurance on that rental, does that include pending children?
It says, substantially increases that. Brian believes that is not going to affect. He said, if something equipment that probably increases the hazard of business. You come into, that's not going to affect it. That's what I was explaining to this. I think if there's a question at that point, all right, substantial risk. We can't answer that question. Truly, it doesn't matter. It's on the system and it's on the grade. So that doesn't matter. Some people so when they call the number on the website, it comes to yeah, just take the information and tell I guess.
Yeah, but it's just, there's a problem because he's done the work.
I think the rate of
This should never happen, because this has to be.
Somebody would have a problem.
In my opinion, they need to work out, let them figure out what they want to do with each other, let them work it out, they'll come to a good agreement, it works good. I'm sure it's.
No, I don't mean, but I want to make sure that we don't have this.
Right.
Okay,
Yep. Okay. I accept the motion to approve the resolution for the rental agreement of Thurston Park and Ron Donald Field.
I'll make it support. I'll make the motion.
Motion by Clark, I'll support. Second by Thier, all in favor? Aye. Passed. You can't make a motion or support.
I get tired, I guess you know that.
Yes.
Will the agreement be posted online or something?
Yeah, we will definitely, we'll have it on
What is
the
this?
website, Facebook, it will be made available on. Yep.
What's the-
So if I say, if the agreement will be posted on the village website, that would be an accurate statement.
Yes. Okay. Yes, it was attached to the part of that resolution. Okay, item number E is to pass the resolution for the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund Development Project Agreement. We've all been, it's our grant project, we just now have to sign the agreement. It has to be done by resolution.
I'm sorry, say that again.
It's just the grant project,
Yep.
we not have to sign the agreement with Thier.
Okay.
So nothing's changed, we just have to, it has to be done by resolution that we sign the agreement. So
I'll make a motion to accept the DNR's resolution for
the development
the
project.
development of Village Essentials, Michigan Department of Natural Resources, and the Thurston Park Development Project.
Motion by Bodley.
Second.
Okay, motion by Bodley, seconded by Batterbee to approve the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund Development Project Agreement. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Is this for the board law?
Yeah, that's for the grant project. Yes. The piers, the docks, the bath house, that's for the grant project. Okay, that being said, we now have to approve the contract with Gordy Fraser for their engineering work on the project. Okay, nothing, once again, nothing on that has changed from the grant. I can tell you, their total price for engineering is $32,000. If you want to know all the breakdowns, I'll tell you, but it hasn't changed since we went through the whole project agreement from day one. Yep, so we went through it.
You need a motion.
We made a motion to approve the Gordy Fraser
I'll
contract.
make it.
Motion by Batterbee, support by Bodley, second by Bodley, to approve the contract with Gordy Fraser. All in favor?
Aye.
I have a question, if you don't mind.
Okay.
This consulting firm in your proposals, does that include just Thurston Park, or does it also include the property across the road from me located between the shoreline and intermediate lake?
That's part of our grant project. We now have, in our agreement for the pavilion, for the Thurston Park Pavilion, it says that we will set the rates for the pavilion rental by resolution. So you have a resolution to set those rates. They're the rates we discussed. It's with the kitchen, it's a $50 fee and a $50 deposit. With the use, without the use of the kitchen, it's a $25 charge and a $25 deposit. Deposits are fully refundable at the time Lyle says it's clean. Correct? Then we just have to do this now because our new rental agreement states we set rates by resolution.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Clark, Second by Thier, all in favor? Aye. Passed. The next one is the resolution for the budget amendments. What we did was, number one, as Joe said earlier, we went through the budget to make sure we felt comfortable that we have enough additional money for a village administrator position. That was found mainly by talking to Sam and Scott, and Joe looked at it quite extensively by feeling that we did not dip into, I want to try to use the right terms, we didn't dip into any fund balances, we didn't take any money out of the so-called savings. In every department, those wages have been spread through the general fund, local streets, major streets, water, sewer, and equipment. We figured the amount of time we thought she would spend in each one of those departments. Those departments will pay those wages along with clerk treasurer wages spread apart. Those fund balances will grow at a slower rate than they would have grown. They're not going backwards, they're just growing at a slower rate. And after looking at it a lot, we thought it was still a good investment of village money to try to have somebody in place. Like I just said, so we could have better cooperation with the village, somebody's in the office all the time, and we can move forward as a village instead of just standing still. So, then that being said, at that time also, since we were now 2 months into the budget, since we had a better, because we always do a budget before, real good ideas of taxes because it happens before the fact. We looked at every number within the budget. We had to do our budget before we had true numbers on our health insurance because that falls to the date after the budget has to be passed. So since all those numbers are in place, we went through. We made, you have a list in front of you of all the budget amendments, what's happening. It truly doesn't change bottom line. It just corrects things to where they should be now that we have a good look at it. As you see, real property taxes was the one that took a heck of a hit on. When that finally got done, it's gonna be $6,000 less than we thought. So you try to base it on the last year, it wasn't. That's I think the one that hit us the hardest, isn't it, Joe?
Yep.
Yep. So we didn't hire a part-time DPW this year, so that freed up some money there. Scott was willing to release some of the salary money in his budget. So everybody gave all the way through the whole budget to try to get things to work together. So I think, I want to thank Sam and Scott and everybody. Everybody gave a little bit to try to get the village moving forward. So that's what all those are. If you want to go over them one by one, I will, but it's budget corrections more than anything. And the auditors were in, and he asked me if we would please pass budget resolution per line item still, even though we don't pass a line item budget, it makes their job easier. So we thought now was a good time to clean it up since we were looking at it anyway. So if there's any questions, I would gladly answer. Poor Joe, he was very involved in it. Otherwise, I would accept.
Ken is better at answering questions.
Otherwise, I would accept a motion to approve the resolution for the budget amendments.
I'll make the motion to approve the budget amendment, the resolution for the budget amendment.
Motion by Bodley, second by Chapman. Let's do a roll call, please.
No.
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you. Motion passed. Item I is to approve the sending of delinquent water accounts to Andrew County. You guys have a list, I have a list in front of me, I think I can tell you the whole amount. These are delinquent water accounts of 6 months or more that have been delinquent for a while. Every year we do this, we have to do this by June. The council has to approve this by June 1st, so it has to happen at this meeting, so Rachael can get them. Which Rachael, till 9:30 last night getting done because we just realized it was June, because we thought it felt like March, I swear. But anyway, all of a sudden it hit us, that's today. So she stayed last night till 9:30, came in and worked again all day to get everything straightened out, because this was also the same time, because of the water run, we credited people's accounts. The only way to credit their accounts was to physically go in and credit every single account one by one. And just so we all were talking about too, the amount of that credit for the water was $5,000 in the water credit. So that was a Some villages didn't offer a refund, we did, so. We tried, and that's
It
what
would
it
have
was.
cost you a lot more to repair the damage.
Yeah, well, we still had numerous ones to repair because the sad part is, we spent all that money and some people still didn't let their water run, it froze. We had how many froze up, Sam?
56.
So, see what I'm saying, we asked, please let it run, it cost $5,000 to do it, and there was still an expense incurred because water didn't get let run.
56
But I don't know.
people didn't let their water run?
56 froze up, correct?
56 people froze up. Because
Did they
Too
let the
stupid
water
to
run
listen.
down?
And some of them, it wasn't that many, but some of them froze up through the entire season. Like I said, there's still one froze, then they break.
you know how it is, nobody in this
But-
house shot.
That is what it is. So, the amount of delinquent, the total amount of delinquent water bills that would be turned over is $5,396.32. And once again, those have been delinquent for 6 months. Right now, they are delinquent 6 months, and they've been continuously delinquent at some point.
So you credit everybody's account $6.25?
Whatever,
Yeah.
see, they-
Oh, eight. Okay,
Yep,
yep.
yep. We knew it would be around there, and it was, but we'll talk about it way over next year, before next winter, and we'll talk about it. That's what happened this year. So, I would accept the motion to turn over the delinquent water accounts in the amount of $5,396.32. Motion by Chapman,
Support.
second by Clark, all in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Can I ask, what happens to them when they go to the
When
county?
they go to the county reimburses the village for them, and then the county collects them as a tax lien on the property. Okay, under old business, we have the blight ordinances, as I said, I'll admit, I personally said I wanted to do it this month, and now with Rachael in place, and we can get a better handle on getting some input from the community, I feel much better if we get some more community input on it. It's a big decision in our community, so. We're gonna open our Rachael. Any other public comment? Any business, any other old business, any business?
I don't have any old business. I would like to see if somebody wanted to talk with one of the Lions about maybe something we can do to paint the pavilions and the barbecue pit in the Thurston Park area this year. Pardon me? Okay. That's just something I think, you looking at it, and it's probably about half that. I talked with Lyle a little bit down at the campground here. So
That would be something for the Parks Committee to work on, correct?
yeah.
In the Parks. Okay. Any public comment?
I would like to comment about the new special events permit, but I have no idea what you just passed. And it directly affects many of us in this room, and yet you didn't have the courtesy to even read it out loud per request. And I just think that goes against everything, that the Open Meetings Act and all of the encouragement of open communication and erring on the side of too much information. It just feels like, for one, letters coming to the chamber that are arbitrary, that most of the council doesn't know about. And then when you come and you say, hey, what is this? You're told you should be picking up the phone. And like, what are we supposed to do? Call every month and say, have you come up with a new arbitrary rule for us to follow? I just kind of feel like you really, really need to take public input into serious consideration. Give it real weight and seriously think about it. There's a citizen here who obviously, whether or not she is being harassed, she certainly feels like she is. And she got yelled at. She got argued with by the chief of police here in a public forum. I'm really disappointed in the conduct. That's all I have to say. And there are some events now which are kind of on the line as far as the chamber is concerned, because we have to now go back and look at our calendar and see, with this new stuff that we haven't even read yet in mind, so.
And we
Just so
didn't
you know.
budget for this. We did not budget for the insurance. We understand your point, but it was not in our budget. And we really would have appreciated more of a notice.
I'm tired of being yelled at by my public representative, really, over it.
Well, I mean, I guess I don't know why you think we don't abide by Open Meetings Act rules, because the Open Meetings Act rule is to give the public the right to sit in the meeting as the village council conducts business. We go above and beyond that and allow interaction with the public anytime during the meeting. We address their concerns. We are here to pass ordinances and rules for the village. That's why we're elected as a council. That is what we do. There's a time when we do it. We feel we're gonna talk about the open burning, we could have passed it. I mean, we only meet once a month. There will be things that happen during that month that need to happen that we can't call a special council meeting for, or wait till next month for the council to
But you
convene.
could
I
have
mean,
called
so
the
those things
president
are
of the
gonna
Chamber
happen.
of Commerce instead of sending her a letter that nobody else on your board even knew anything about. You could have done the least amount of, communication possible, so that you're working with us instead of it, because frankly, it feels like you're working against us right now. And maybe you don't intend for it to feel that way, but out here, it certainly does. It
I
certainly
apologize
does.
if you feel that way. I don't know where that came from.
Well, I think it's because of the lack of communication that's taking place on your part. And we, like I said, we don't even know what you just passed. You couldn't even read it out loud. That's really disrespectful.
Does anybody, you want to go right now?
Sorry to pass.
Hmm?
Sorry
I know
to
it's already
pass.
passed.
What is it? I asked twice, could you at least read it out loud? I have no idea. So, and I'm pretty sure that you're supposed to have a public notice when you're gonna pass an ordinance.
Shuffling papers.
It's kind of late now, it's already done. I'm just trying to make a suggestion to you, like, I just keep saying, public engagement. Really, it's not just lip service, it really, public engagement, it means something. Just trying to help you out.
There will be more communication now.
Will that new ordinance be put in the newspaper about the permit stuff? Will that be put in the
The
newspaper?
Open Meeting Act says that you're supposed to give notice when your meetings are each week to the local news outlet. If you guys could send us information, we'd certainly like that.
Our meetings are the same Thursday of the month, every month.
Says that you can provide it. I'll send a request for an email, and ideally you'll send it.
I don't even understand that question. What, you know when we meet every month? I thought everybody knew when the council met every month. It's posted for the whole year. We put the notice out annually like we're required to do.
Right, well,
It's
the
out
Open
there.
Meeting Act says that you guys are to let the media, the news media know about it.
We do, we post it
send a
every
note
year
to
at our
the-
first meeting.
No, I just read it, Kenny, just right out of my phone. Just
I would
check it out.
suggest from now, if you want to bring comments like that to the council, you consult an attorney first, because the council
I
does.
just
have-
read
No,
it
I'm
on
being
my
very
phone.
serious. You act like you're badgering.
I'm not, I'm
State
just saying.
statute states that at our first meeting, we set our meeting date for the entire year and post it. We did it. That's the state statute. We followed it. Every year at our first meeting, we set our calendar for the entire year. We did it. It's posted.
Did you
It's
send an
done.
email to the Review or to the News or to the Record Eagle that says that these meetings are occurring?
Did you ask for it?
You have to ask for it.
That's what I'm saying, I'm gonna send an email and ask for it.
Whatever you'd like to do. This is getting silly. Does anybody want to, I would accept the motion to adjourn.
Oh, this lady had a question, or an answer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Will that ordinance be put in the newspaper? Because how are you gonna write a letter to every organization that might have an event in town? I mean, is that
Of over 200 people.
of over 200 people?
If you want to publish it, it will, there's a cost.
I mean, should it not be a public notice? Or hang it on the wall out here or somewhere?
But I'm just saying, that if people want a paper, we'll put it in there, but there's quite a cost for putting something this size in the paper.
You don't have to put the whole thing in the paper, just make it known that they have to have a permit if you're gonna have a function in this town. Or 200 people or more. I mean,
The
they could-
peddler ordinance.
Yeah. I mean, how are you gonna know who to write all those letters to, besides the Lions Club for their barbecue and what?
I thought there were rules governing publishing of ordinances. I thought that there were state laws governing the publication of ordinances, that you are required to publish it in the newspaper, it's not optional. I don't think you get a choice.
I mean, nobody knew they needed insurance until tonight, so.
So put a reminder somewhere, a special reminder that event over 200 people requires insurance. details available
Permit and insurance.
at the clerk's
Permit
office.
and insurance.
Permit and insurance at the clerk's office.
Where would you like that put?
I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying, you want to know, where,
Well,
That's the administration.
your meetings, your minutes of the meeting go into the newspaper, correct? Could it be added to that?
Well, it would be.
You have to pay for the minutes?
Well, that's permit, motion by
You
Pat.
have to pay for the minutes?
So
It'll
we
be,
got,
it'll be on the minutes.
I mean, if people think we should put a notice in here, we will, I'm just saying, what do you as a council want to do? You want us to call, I'm agreeing, I can't make that decision, what do you as a council?
Will they be part of the minutes?
It will be part of the minutes, but honestly, I don't think a lot of people read, they're not gonna read the minutes looking for that.
I tried to read the minutes on this last deal, I couldn't find them on there, they weren't posted on your webpage. Oh, they're not on there?
I don't know.
They're in the paper, the ads get posted in the paper.
Yeah, write the letter.
I don't think it was.
Submit it to the minutes. Just-
I didn't find it in the paper last time.
Barely just got the bill.
Hmm? No, that's okay, I just couldn't find it, I just didn't look hard enough.
And to be honest, I know we put them there, it's nothing against the paper, but if we want people to get a notice, we have to do it somewhere outside of within our minutes. Because honestly, you know, I mean, I don't think that's the way to truly inform
I
people.
mean, that's up to you.
No,
I'm just
I agree,
suggesting
I'm just asking now.
The
where-
Lions Club, the church needs to know that they need insurance to sell strawberry shortcake on 4th of July.
The paper have a public notice.
You're gonna write a letter to everybody and you miss somebody. And you have the right to no insurance.
I think
I don't know about that. I mean,
well, still,
we can look and see what the cost of it is to run that.
We're discussing costs.
Oh, you don't have to put it.
Right.
Yeah, for a newspaper ad. The cost of a newspaper ad, so rate this in here.
No, I got
That's what I'm saying.
So send a letter to each one of them, put a copy of it outside here and then put it on your website.
Yeah.
And throw it out there. Oh, sounds good. I will put
If they've had an event in the other areas, they have.
that required by law.
Most of it.
Yeah, the most we know, we have to-
Took $8 grand to make an insurance. So,
all we're doing is this.
Yep, most we
Yeah, just tell like, say we'll do something to address.
Put a letter out there.
I think you have to publicly post it. I don't think it's an option.
Well, I'm really asking that, what do you want to have Rachel do with
I
this?
think she had a good suggestion. Put a letter out there, put it on the website. We'll post a letter out here and whatever people that we know that have the events, we send them a letter.
Yeah, email them, send them a letter. Just a heads up.
And have it available.
Does that answer your question a little better?
Yes,
Okay.
I mean, just, thank you.
Okay.
The motion by Clark?
I had
Yep.
two quick questions. I'm sorry, they're not controversial. But when will the administrator position begin? When will you start having 40 hours a week office hours?
It will be effective the day this agreement is effective, the blank date of 2014. So since we passed it today, it will be effective tomorrow.
And what happened to the village video recording meetings?
We haven't done it. Okay, we have a motion by Clark,
Yep.
second by Bodley, all in favor? Aye. Adjourned.